Sara Alali, welcome to the Mapper Forward podcast.
Hello, Lee. How are you?
It's so good to have you. You are the first guest for 2021. And we have so many exciting things to talk about today. But first of all, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing great.
You excited about this year?
How are you? Yeah, for sure. It's still the beginning, but there are many things happening.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. This year, you will be opening a cafe. You will be launching a special project which we're about to announce for the first time. Exciting. Yeah. Okay, so let's start first of all by telling people who you are. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell people who the fabulous Sara Alali is?
Thank you. My name is Sara Alali. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm a co-founder of that boutique cafe in Saudi Arabia. I'm also AST, which is a certified trainer by Specialty Coffee Association, and Coffee Arabica Cube Grader.
Excellent. You are also about to become, let's just announce it now. You are joining the host. Go on, you make the announcement.
I will be the host, inshallah, for the Map It Forward Middle East podcast.
Yay! So, and we are very blessed and honored to have you on our podcast, alhamdulillah. This will be a brand new podcast in Arabic, 100% Arabic, across the Middle East. And you are the host. You will be curating the content. You will be deciding what you talk about. You will be it will be all your voice completely. I am not going to be determining the content at all. This is your baby and we are producing it. And I cannot tell you how excited and humbled we are to have you a part of the team.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be part of the team as well.
Do we want to talk about how this came about?
Okay. So it started when I joined the Mastermind groups of Map It Forward. And, when we were talking that I wish people knew before they start any business what I learned in the Mastermind groups. So we were talking about how we can tell people about that. And then we talked about the podcasts and why shouldn't we do it in the Arabic, in Arabic, so people can learn more about what we are going through in our project and our business. And I can tell people the things that I wished others told me before I start my business.
Yeah. Because the specialty coffee world is booming in the Middle East right now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Like, what is the specialty coffee industry like particularly in Saudi right now? You're in Riyadh, and what's the coffee industry like there?
Like it started around 4 years ago. And we started to have a lot of people interested in specialty coffee. And the coffee scene is just booming. We are having a lot of cafes and roasteries and even websites selling coffee products. More and more people are interested in everything about coffee. Even we have people who want to do training in coffee, and also offering service like consultation services.
And so when it described the classical kind of specialty coffee cafe in Riyadh.
So it's just going to be an industrial cafe.
Yeah.
Like the design and or very simple design with serving specialty coffee. So you would have the Chemex V60 and the espresso machine, and that's it.
Now, it's interesting you say just serving specialty coffee, because in a recent conversation I had with a friend of mine, that I was telling you about, it seems that the definition of specialty coffee seems to be changing depending on where you are, right? So in Saudi, do people experience specialty coffee as one particular brew method? Or are they, when people talk about specialty coffee, are they talking about the green coffee? How do people talk about specialty coffee in Riyadh, in Saudi, across Saudi?
Some people who are the experts, of course, they know that specialty coffee is the green beans. So when we say specialty coffee, so it's the grade of the quality of the green beans. But some people who are just new to the coffee industry or just new to coffee, they think that V60 or Chemex is the specialty coffee. So it's like the manual brewing method. And they think it's it's a specific brewing method. They don't attach it to espresso, or if you say espresso, they won't think about specialty coffee.
Really?
And even some cafes, they use specialty coffee beans only for manual brewing. So they would use other kinds of beans for the espresso.
Which is so different than what happens here in Australia, because we tend to have a lot less of a focus on pour over and batch brew and slower manual brewing methods, and we use specialty coffee for espresso.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And some people, like when you would serve batch brew, which we call the coffee of the day, they would think, is this specialty coffee or not? So so they have the idea that's only manual brewing. Of course, not all people think the same way, but this is what most people who don't know about specialty coffee think.
And what was the type of coffee that was being served in Saudi before specialty coffee became a thing? Because I assume it's only been a couple of years, right?
Yeah. So usually we will have Colombian coffee, Ethiopian coffee for Arabic coffee. So the method we use to brew the coffee, the Arabic coffee, we use for it Yemeni and Ethiopian coffee.
That's and for the abriq.
Not abriq, the
for
dalla.
The dalla.
The Arabic coffee.
With the cardamom,
with cardamom and saffron. And we have for espresso, usually it's a Colombian coffee or Brazilian coffee.
And so ground very fine.
For the Arabic coffee?
For the Arabic coffee.
No, it's usually like V60. Yeah, and we boil it for 20 minutes on the stove in the special tool, like it's called dalla. It's something like a brick, but it's a little bit bigger. Usually 800 milliliters or 1 liter.
Yeah.
So you would share this coffee with your friends, with your family. So you won't do it just for yourself. Like you want to brew a whole pot of coffee just for you. So you need to share it with others.
And there's spices that are added to it. So cardamom and saffron are added to it.
Yeah.
No sugar.
No sugar.
No sugar.
Some people add milk, add some milk, just a little bit of milk, just to give it the texture. And some people add the cloves. So it depends on the region. But what we know is cardamom and saffron. This is the basic.
Universal across everyone. Everyone does this.
Yeah.
Even in my parents' village in Syria, Zedan, we serve that same kind of coffee. I know your mum's from Syria as well. What part of Syria is she from?
From Damascus.
Nice.
Damascus.
Hey, Sham. And then, so the thing that we do is we have it in a turmos, like a flask, and we serve a tiny, tiny little bit of it in the little Arabic coffee cups, and we serve a little tiny little bit of it. Is that how you guys serve it?
Yeah. Same thing. And finjan.
Finjan. And there's like 10 mil maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Same way. Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful tradition. Like you'll have a room full of people. There could be 5 people, there could be 30 people, and someone will walk around and they have a little stack of finjans or cups like this, but really much smaller. And
Yeah.
they'll pour like 10 mil into it, and it's intense and it's bitter and but delicious, and it's an acquired taste. It's an acquired way of drinking coffee, right?
Yeah, I believe in Syria they have it a little bit darker roast. In Saudi Arabia we have, it depends on which area. Like we have it lighter roast. Like even you could have the peanut flavor, you know,
Wow, that
notes.
light.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
So then someone will walk around the room and give someone 10 mil, and while they're drinking it, which will take them all of like 20 seconds to drink,
Yeah.
then they'll move on to the next person and give them a cup, and then come back to that person. And I don't know if this is the etiquette where you guys are, but for us, the way that you hand the cup back tells the person if you want more or you've had enough.
Yeah,
Is that how you
yeah,
guys? It's such
yeah,
lovely little etiquettes, right?
yeah. It's beautiful, and also like the person who serves the coffee usually doesn't sit. Like
Yeah,
they will stand and they will
walk
continue
around.
serving people, and it's usually 3 times.
Yeah,
Usually,
you walk
but if
around the
for
room
me,
3
I
times.
would have, I would have it in a mug.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so beautiful. It's so
yeah,
delicious.
yeah.
And
I really like it.
the way the handing the cup back thing. So if you, and it's been some time since I was in Syria, so remind me if I'm right. If you hand it back and shake your hand, that's that you don't want anymore.
Yeah, it's like us. Yeah,
Yeah. And if you do want more, you just hand it back, and the person knows, well, they
yeah,
didn't shake their hand side to
yeah.
side, so they want some more, and then they pour another 10 mil. Me, I just
Yeah,
keep
and
drinking.
the finjan, yeah, and the finjan is stacked. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
person who will serve the coffee will have the finjan stacked on top of each other.
yeah.
It's really beautiful, and the dalla has, you know, this long neck,
Oh
and
man, so
you
good.
serve coffee. It's so beautiful, and also the roast profile. It depends on the area. So, like in the far north, it would be darker roast, and
In Saudi?
to the southern, yeah, and the southern area, it's lighter roast.
Yeah, wow. Now, is this Dalla way of brewing coffee, is that across the Middle East?
Yeah, yeah, in all Gulf area, like
Yeah,
in
wow.
Oman, in Bahrain, in Kuwait, also in Emirat, and we had also a championship, like
Really?
a competition for
This
Arabic
one I
coffee.
want to come to. This is the first championship I'm going to come to.
It's
In Al
so
Arad, we can
interesting.
actually go to it.
You know, it's interesting, and at the same time, it's very challenging because you know you have very light roast coffee, and there's, you know, you don't know it's underdeveloped or, you know, just the perfect coffee. So it's a big challenge. So
Yes.
we had it there, and we had also like the challenge was that for some people, when we told them we want a category of light roast Arabic coffee, they would
Uh-huh.
give us dark roast because for them that's the light roast.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had this
Wow.
thing because for them in their area, this is what they consider a light roast, and for us it's a
It's a dark
dark roast.
roast. You know what I love? I love that, like, you guys are coming into the evolution of specialty coffee when it's already up here. So your starting point for specialty coffee and your understanding of different roast profiles and different brew methods and how you can apply it to different, even ancient ways of brewing coffee, because this way of brewing coffee is a millennia old, right? It's the traditional way of brewing coffee for the Middle East, and you're able to apply uh, these specialty coffee approaches to even the ancient ways of brewing coffee, which is so exciting for coffee in the region.
Yeah, and it's also one of the oldest methods of brewing coffee. Like even humanity knew coffee this way.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe we had like a very يعني, complex grinders or high standards espresso machines. And it's all a pot.
It's a pot with some water and just boil it for a really long time.
Yeah, and this is how we do it until today, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and you can smell it. Like the moment somebody's, there's just something so special about this specific way of brewing coffee. Inshallah, one day you and I can be at a booth at SCA and we can brew this for everybody.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. You know, this is a really great example of why hospitality is something that comes so naturally to the coffee industry in the Middle East. And you're about to open a cafe that everyone needs to go and follow that boutique cafe. Is it that_coffee co?
That I think so. Yeah, I can't remember now.
We'll include link in the show notes anyway. But I mean, the standard of the design work in this cafe is off the charts, Sara. It's something incredible. Congratulations.
You know, this is when I started thinking about opening a cafe in 2013. I was just, I used to live in Canada for 10 years. And I came back to Saudi in 2010. And I really missed the cafe I used to go to because there, you know, there's the atmosphere, the ambiance of the cafe, and also the coffee.
Yeah.
Like I know I didn't drink the most wonderful coffee in the world, but you know, it's, you know, the ambiance complements the coffee. So when I came back to Saudi, I couldn't find that place to sit and enjoy a cup of coffee just alone, like just with the company of a book or just sitting there. It's either you can have good coffee or a good place, but not both.
Right.
So I kept searching. I couldn't find it. So I said, why shouldn't I be the person
who creates it?
Creates that a good atmosphere, a good ambiance, and also the perfect cup of coffee. But back then I didn't know anything about coffee. So it's just the idea, you know, that I want really good coffee and good place to sit and enjoy your coffee.
Now tell people what you were doing in Canada.
I was studying there. I lived there for 10 years. I did my bachelor degree and the master's in sociology and French literature. Don't ask me about French now, so I don't speak any word in French. I used to, but not anymore. Yeah.
So you're not going to do the Map It Forward podcast in French?
No, not at all. No way.
Oh, come on now. Clearly you like a challenge.
No. Well, I have enough challenge with this. It's in Arabic and it's well, many people think that it's really easy to do a podcast. But it's not. You can ask me.
Sara, I can't tell you the number of people that say to me, hey, it looks really easy to do a podcast. I want to do a podcast.
No, it's not. Oh my God. I spent hours and hours, and you know that, like I spent hours and hours and hours trying to just record one episode, and it's like, my God, it's nothing. It's just an introduction. And
especially the way this podcast works, though, because this is not like normal podcasts. Our core value here is authenticity, and so we're not going to record anything that's edited. We're not going to release anything that's edited. So that's why our conversations that we have with our guests are unedited. We flick record and we press stop, and that's the episode that goes to air. And with the Daily Coffee Pro, same thing with that. We turn on the thing, we pick a topic, we turn on the camera, we record, and then we turn it off, and that's the episode that goes to air. There's no editing that happens. And it's not quite as easy as it looks, is it?
Like if I messed up with one phrase, I have to repeat the whole thing. And sometimes like I'm just recording, something happens, the camera suddenly stops recording. I'm out of battery. The battery dies, and something happened outside, so I have
a dog barks.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone slams the door.
Right. The kids come running in for you.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot to maneuver, because you're running essentially you're going to be doing 3 main projects. So you're an SCA certified trainer. Are you the only one in the region?
No, there are quite a few people here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're an SCA certified trainer. You are opening a cafe that has not gone smoothly. And you are becoming the host of the first podcast of its kind in the Middle East. And we are going to be, during this podcast, the one that you're releasing, it's the same kind of thing that we do on the English version of the podcast with the Daily Coffee Pro. And once we've established the flow of that, then we're going to start including conversations like this one as a part of what you're doing. And same thing, it will be released every weekday. And we're excited to tell everybody that the first episode is coming out on the 7th of March, which is this coming Sunday, the day before International Women's Day, which I'm very happy about. And it will come out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which is that's the weekdays in the Middle East. And episodes will be available on all podcast listening apps, as well as through our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/mapitforward. And there will be an exclusive playlist just for the Arabic version of the Map It Forward podcast. Now, clearly you're doing all of that while raising 2 boys.
Yeah.
And trying to stay sane throughout all of that in a very quickly evolving, what do you call it? Political landscape, or not political landscape, but the culture of Saudi is evolving rapidly right now, right?
Yeah.
What's it like being a woman who has decided, well, awesome, I've got the freedom to do all this stuff now, I'm going to do it?
Well, I wanted to do it long time ago, so this is the perfect moment. And I never knew it's gonna turn this way. So I just had the plan and I worked for it, and see now, like I can do it. So inshallah. So it's just the perfect moment.
And you were ready.
The perfect time to be in Saudi Arabia. So
it really is. With everything happening the way that it's happening, you had done the work before they kind of opened the gates and said women can do whatever they want to do. And rather than sitting there and complaining about why couldn't we do this earlier, etc., you're just going for it and setting an example for, and here's the important part, you're not just setting an example for women, you're setting an example for everybody. And if you were to talk about what you want to get out of this podcast when it comes to men and women alike, what would you say that kind of is? Like, what do you hope that people take away from what you want to talk about on the podcast?
I want people to have more successful business or business, and also when they start a project, they know what they are going into. So it's not just like, okay, I like coffee, let's do it. Yeah, they need to think about and get prepared before they start a project in a coffee in the coffee industry. And also, I want to be an icon for inspiration for these people. Like, I really like to help people, especially people who have a dream or have the motivation to start something new. So I'm willing to do anything to help, and the podcast will be part of it. So what I'm doing is I'm talking to people about the things that I went through as I'm doing my I'm building my cafe, and I'm telling them about the people that about the things, sorry, that I didn't think about before starting my project, and also the challenges I'm facing, and how I'm trying to face it, and how to move on with my project, because things happen, and more
Oh
things are
yeah.
happening. And yeah, so I'm just moving forward,
Oh,
and but at least I have the positive attitude
yeah.
and positive approach, and I can see things happen now. Because yani, earlier I used to say, no, it's not that serious, or like I shouldn't think too much. I'm too complicated. Yeah, I don't want to think about a lot of things. But now, when I sit back, like I'm thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that easy to start a project. It's not that easy to start training people, because you have a
Right.
responsibility. So you need to think twice before you start training other people,
Mm-hmm.
or even doing or offering consultation for others. And this is something that a lot of people are thinking, okay, let's do consultation needs a lot of practice and experience and a lot of knowledge. So yani, it's just a way of telling people, please think and get prepared and do your work before
Right.
you start any project.
And we're not saying to people through what we do, we're not saying don't do it. We're never
No, not at all.
discouraging people from doing any projects, are we? Like,
No.
I'm your business coach. You're in a
Mm-hmm.
mastermind group, and we do one-on-one coaching as well. Have
Yes.
I ever said to you, not you don't do this project?
No.
It's never about that, right? It's about how do you do this project in the best prepared way that you can approach this project.
Yes, exactly. So we encourage people to think in a different way. We are thinking out loud together.
Mm,
So, and telling people what we went through and what they could learn from it. So
that's
we
so
want
exciting.
everyone else to have a successful business that's sustainable.
And what about, will you be talking about cultural challenges that are being experienced as women make their way into the workforce, and as, I guess, gender roles start to evolve, and there may be some cultural challenges that are experienced in Saudi and across the Middle East? Because this isn't a podcast just for Saudi, this is a podcast across the Middle East, and there is a lot that's shifting across the region with regards to gender roles. So will you be talking about that on your podcast?
I didn't think about it right now, but maybe in the future. Of course, like anything that comes up, I'll be willing to talk about it openly.
Yeah, awesome. This is very exciting because I watched you evolve over 2020 in a very challenging time. And in a minute, I want to talk to you about how you guys are experiencing COVID. But you, if you don't mind me saying, you took a very challenging situation, and you were willing, and you had the courage to look at it and say, I don't know what I don't know. I need you to help me figure out what I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And rarely have I seen anyone embrace mean, it was just fun having conversations with you because it just felt like I was having conversations with me. It was so fun to watch you figure something out and then run with it. And you applied it immediately. And then, like when you did the assertiveness training, like a couple of times you watched it, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm still like every once in a while I go back and watch it again. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Oh no. Especially having been raised in a society like the Middle East, where you're told how you need to participate in society, right?
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the conversations we can start in the coffee community across the Middle East with this content. That's the part of this that I'm crazy excited about. Because for the first time, we're going to be saying to people, hey, listen, here, have some stuff to think about and talk about it with your colleagues, much like we do with the English version of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that's exciting is we've got a lot of people from the Middle East that listen to the English version of the podcast and say things like, I understand about 50% of it and I love 50% of it. Like I love it, even though I only understand 50% of it. And so for me to be able to say, no, don't listen to my podcast anymore. Listen to Sara's podcast, and to say, understand 100% of it and engage in the content and have conversations with other people. How exciting is that?
It's really exciting, but at the same time, they should watch both podcasts because there's a different point of view, a different way of saying things, and also a different experience.
Yeah. And different cultural perspectives, right? Which is why, even though I speak Arabic not massively well, but I could have got a coach to teach me. You are actually my coach right now in Arabic. We have very fun conversations where I say to you, what's this word or what's this word? But I could have got a tutor that taught me Arabic well enough so that in some time from now, I would have been able to do the podcast myself. That's quite wishful thinking, if I'm honest.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why not, mostly because I've got too much happening right now and wouldn't be able to. But from a cultural perspective, this podcast needs to happen by somebody who's living in the region and understands the cultural references that are being understood in the region already. And I was raised biculturally. I was born in Australia and have experienced Australian and American and Arabic culture. So my experience of the Arab culture is not true to form to what someone who's native to the Middle East and has lived there most of their lives will be able to experience. And I think that's an important perspective to bring from a cultural sensitivity aspect. Which is why I'm so excited that you, as a Saudi woman, going into business, being able to experience things the way that you've experienced them, and being able to open-heartedly and with an open mind say, hey, listen, I don't know what I don't know. And then you went out and learnt it. I have never seen anyone work as hard as you did, Sara, to get your cafe off the ground. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. There's another challenge. It's not only doing a business, like it's also I told you about that before, like even in my family, because we don't have people who started, like we don't have a history in restaurant management or cafes. So I'm kind of in the middle of something that's new to all of us. And sometimes maybe out of fear, like your family would discourage you to start something new that they don't know about. And
maybe even call you crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm speaking from my perspective. My family thought it was crazy getting into the coffee industry.
Yeah, because the thing is that I have a master in sociology and French literature, and I know that I have a lot of opportunity to be in academia.
Yeah.
But I left all of that and I started something new to me and new to everyone around me, and it just happened, yani, and I don't know. I just continue to learn, and I want to do more of it. And inshallah, I believe this cafe will be yani, something that I will be proud of it, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And I want it to be an example. I want people to walk in and say, wow, like everything in this place, the design is thought of, the coffee we choose and we offer to our customers, the team we have. So inshallah, I want it to be something big, inshallah.
And as someone who has sat there and listened to all your ideas, I can say to anyone who's thinking of going and visiting that boutique cafe, and I love the name, as you know, it is going to be something exceptional. Not just because it's beautiful, but because it's beautiful and because of the service and because of the quality of the coffee and the hospitality and the offerings and the cat.
The cat.
That cat.
That cat.
Check out the Instagram to understand what we're talking about. By the way, is there a second cat that's shown up?
No, this is just a cat that we had at home.
Oh, okay. That was a very cute cat at the cafe. Now, this is a good time for us to talk about, given that we were talking about the beautiful coffees that you're going to be offering at the cafe, this is a really good time for us to talk about and mention our launch partners for the podcast. So we have 4 launch partners who are going to be advertising and sponsoring this podcast. When we started this, we were kind of throwing some ideas around of how do we want to approach the advertising on this podcast. And we decided that from the very beginning, we wanted to advocate for great supply chain practices from the word go. And so we decided we were going to showcase producers as our advertisers. So I went and tapped some people who I am big fans of with the way that they move around in the value chain. And I've had them on the English version of the podcast, and they all said yes to being sponsors of this podcast. And so we're very, very proud to announce that our 4 sponsors are FAF Coffees from Brazil, Coffee Net from Colombia, Los Pirineos from El Salvador, and we have Project Origin, who are based in Australia but have coffee farms around the globe. And those are the 4 sponsors. Sada's looking at me like, thank God I didn't have to say all of those names. After you have to record the sponsor messages, you will be very good at saying all of their names.
And all the names.
I wonder how you're going to say them in Arabic. That's going to be the fun part to hear when we hear the sponsor messages. But we're so proud to have those 4 companies as a part of the podcast and supporting the podcast and supporting really great content that is going to be going out to the region. And it's a pretty historic event in the history of the coffee industry, because in a region that is undergoing so much cultural shifting as well as exciting economic development behind the coffee industry, to have other regions of the world come in and be a part of elevating that and supporting that and driving that in the hopes that it creates greater bonds with their cultures. Because all of them said, we can't wait to welcome people from the Middle East to our coffee farms. So wonderful, huh?
It is wonderful. I can't wait for that moment that we can go and visit a coffee plantation around the world.
It'd be so exciting. It would be
Yeah.
so exciting. So yeah, they're the 4 sponsors, and it's just going to be wonderful to see how the relationships between people who are roasting coffee and buying roasted coffee and brewing roasted coffee are going to be engaging with the producers and importers from those companies. So yeah, fun times ahead for all of that. But speaking about a time when we can go to coffee plantations around the world, we can't right now because of COVID.
But we can enjoy the coffee.
We can enjoy the coffee, alhamdulillah. But we can't go because of COVID. So talk to us about how COVID is being experienced across the Middle East right now.
We are still having cases in Saudi, in the Gulf area, and the Middle East. And what's happening, we are in kind of situation where of uncertainty, like we don't know what's gonna happen, what's coming next, and we're just waiting because every day we are waiting for new regulations, new what do you call it, like for the for restaurants and cafes, like we are having a lot of yes. So it's coming up every day depending on the cases that are that we are having. And until now, like in Saudi Arabia, we have a lot of not a lot, it's all cafes and restaurants you cannot dine in, so it's only take out. And it's been like this for a while. So it's since March 2020, we only opened for 3 months.
Wow.
And all of the rest was take out. So what's happening is that we don't know what's going on because it's new for everyone, right? It's not only in Saudi or in the Middle East, it's new for the
everyone.
whole world, for everyone. So what we are doing is just we are trying to find solutions to bring more people or to bring customers and revenue. So that's what's happening, and a lot of people are experiencing a lot of difficulties financially in their business. Some of them are still trying to be there, as you say, the zombie business, and they are just there, and I don't know what's going to happen because a lot of businesses are out of business. But now I don't know what's going to happen if we have a second wave and we are in quarantine. So we don't know.
But
we have to be prepared. Yes, because that was supposed to open in December of 2020. And after a lot of delays because of COVID. So we were planning for that since August 2019. And you see, it's almost 18 months now. So it's a lot of time.
You remember what my famous, what I always say about businesses and putting, it's going to take twice as long, it's going to cost twice as much, and it's going to make half as much as you expected to make in the first year.
Yeah, but that's in a normal situation. Like now we have COVID and we don't know, it's not even twice, it's 3 times, 4 times. So this is the thing. So what we are trying to do, like even in our mastermind groups, this is what we talk about a lot. Like how can we prepare ourselves for anything that could happen, or a second wave, or if we are locked down. So we don't know.
How have the mastermind groups helped you?
It helped me a lot because as a group we are from different countries, so we experience things differently, but we have the same situations, and we try together to find solutions, and we help each other. So it's not just me talking about my problems and someone giving me feedback. No, it's an input that we gather and collect from others, and we work together. So what I feel is each one in the group uh, consider that their project.
Yeah, that is the
And they are
lovely thing
helping.
about it, right?
Yeah, this is what I like about it. And we are trying to find solutions because, each one of us come with a different perspective, different background, and it's helpful. It's very helpful because you don't want to think just in one way, or the way you used to think always. You need to broaden your scope and think differently to be able to overcome what's happening now.
It's been a real treat for me to watch. It hasn't even been a year yet since these mastermind groups started, and to watch the way that everyone that has been in these mastermind groups has evolved and taken what's happened with COVID over 2020. And as 2021 continues to be challenging, what you see is that the confidence level, like the confidence level in you, Sara, as you take on more and more and more projects, it's not like you're just getting better at the things that you're doing. You feel more, from what I'm seeing, you're more confident in taking on board the projects that you want to take on, and at the same time saying no to the things that you don't want to take on or can't take on. It's been
This is
really
very
inspiring.
important. Yeah, this is a very important point. Like, the more I know, and I feel I have more control over things, I feel more confident. And I can't believe how it would be, or how my situation would look like if I didn't join the mastermind groups, because it happened just by chance. Yani, I don't know. I was just searching something on the internet about coffee consultation, and I just found Map It Forward, and yani, we say Subhanallah, yani, how things happen. It's maybe the beginner's luck that
that I talk about in
So this is what happened, and it helped me a lot because now I have a support system. Yani, people who are support each other. I don't like to feel lonely or be alone. So especially in a business, like, many people think that if you are a business owner, you have to be tough, and you don't have emotions, and you have to think with your mind, and put your emotions aside. But we are human beings, and we feel, right? We have emotions.
Oh yeah.
So you always need support. It's not only financial support. You need people there to be able to understand what you're going through. And this is what happens in the mastermind group.
It's so important for me, the element of support that these groups provide for people, because usually the mastermind groups are for the people that are leading the business. And nobody ever asks the boss, how are you doing? No one ever asks the boss, do you need anything? No one ever really says to the boss, how's your heart? They just in these groups
Tell
we
me
do.
about it.
In these groups we check in.
Yeah, and one more thing, that it's like, I joined other they call it the round table groups, that we talk about business. And the thing is, it's only for like few hours, few days, and then khalas, yani, nothing. So you don't get to be with the people, or the support, the same people you are used to, and in the same support system. So and after we are done with the round table, everyone goes their way. And the other thing is we are used to people who just tell us what to do and give us direction. And this is what's different in mastermind groups.
Yeah.
Like we are not just told what we have to do. We are encouraged to think for ourselves and think what's best for our business and for us as individuals. كمان يعني the other thing is that uh, what gives me more confidence that you are the leader and you are the leader of the group, you are our coach, and it's not just you have an experience 2 days ago or just yesterday. It's like an mashallah experience for more than 20 years in the industry.
Yeah.
So that's what's yani, you know what you are talking about. So
well, yeah, and you have to sit through all my stories.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
and we
them.
enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, you know, the worst part about these groups for me, and the biggest problem that I have, is I can't go to sleep after them. I'm so excited. I get off the call and I'm inspired and I'm excited, and I feel like I could have talked with you guys for another and listened to what you've got going on for another 3 hours. Now, meetings already go for 2 hours, but I could have sat there and listened to what's happening with you for another 3 hours and it still wouldn't have been enough. And then I get off the calls and I'm like, all right, like it's, you know, late now, go to bed. And there's no chance in hell I'm able to go to bed for hours, just because they're so inspiring and my heart feels so full at the end of it. Because to see everyone in the groups genuinely feel that they showed up for each other. And your business, when we're in these groups, isn't just your business. We all are excited.
Exactly.
We're all invested in your success because we're all waiting to hear what's coming next. Like what happened with the contractor, Sara?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's not talk about the contractor.
Yeah.
Well, if it's any consolation, anyone who's listening to this already knows, just from us saying that, they already know the challenges that you've been through with your contractor. So
Yeah.
Because everybody goes through it. Everyone goes through it. So what I want to talk about now is that little couple of trophies that are sitting behind you. Because not only are you an SCA trainer, and not only do you have degrees coming out of your ears, and you're opening businesses and you're about to become a podcast host, but you compete as well.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the awards that you've got behind you.
This is the awards I had from my I competed in 2015, 2016, and 2017 in the Jazve Ibrik Championship. And I got second place in the across the Middle East and North Africa, and sixth in the world. So I got these trophies for each competition. Thank you. Allah barik feek.
When you say 2015, 16, and 17, it feels like it was like centuries ago because the world was so different back then. How does it feel not being able to compete now?
Well, it's different when many things changed, actually. Like when I decided to start the project, to launch.
Which project?
Which project? Like I started doing like in 2015, 2016, 2017, I used to have that as a pop-up coffee shop.
Right. And the ministry,
so
right? The ministry sounds like a Harry Potter episode. The ministry.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Magic. No, the Ministry of Communications.
Yeah, Ministry of Communication and different other government buildings, and we went to trade shows and a lot of events. So it was it was a project, but it was not like something you have to be there all the time and you're gonna open for 8 hours straight. And So it's more flexible.
Yep.
So I had the opportunity to go and like close the shop for let's say 2 weeks and go compete and come back.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, so this is how it was flexible.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started doing training and I had more responsibilities, my schedule is not as flexible. And also with COVID and with opening my cafe and what I'm going through now, I don't think I have the time to go for competitions.
Come on now. You've
But,
got 3 minutes left in the week that you can assign to something.
yeah, maybe because in order to compete, you need to practice a lot. And I used to back then, like when I started competing, I used to work in a non-profit organization, and it was like only 8 hours, like, and it's not that busy. So I had the opportunity after work to practice and learn more about coffee and to develop my skills so I can go and compete.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think right now I have the time or the peace of mind to go and just concentrate and focus on competing, because it's not that easy as well. Many people think, like people who think that podcasts are so easy, it's not easy.
No.
To go for competition, especially when you know what people are expecting from you and what you expect from yourself, and what you have a panel of judges, and they are there to evaluate your coffee and test your skills. So it's not just, okay, let me take my bag and go and make coffee for these people, right? So it's not that easy. So I don't have the like right now I don't have the time, I don't have
Focus.
the focus. So and plus there's COVID, and before that I wasn't able to compete because we don't have a chapter here in Saudi Arabia for SCA. So I used to compete under the SCA chapter for Middle East.
For anyone who's listening that doesn't know what Sara means by SCA, in the Middle East, they say SCA instead of SCA. Just wanted to qualify.
So it's a Special Coffee Association chapter for the Middle East. So now we don't have it anymore. And we don't have a chapter in Saudi Arabia as well. It's heartbreaking for me and disappointing, because I wanted to continue, because the moment you go into competition, you know how you grow, and you understand the things that you are weak in, or you need to practice more in to challenge yourself. So I wanted to continue competing, but when I reached the point where, okay, khalas, I cannot compete anymore because we don't have a chapter here in Saudi Arabia. Plus, now even the other people who want to compete, they cannot compete because of COVID.
Right. So does it need to change into the future? Do the SCA need to start thinking about how coffee is changing across the region, and especially Saudi Arabia is such a booming economy for specialty coffee? I don't think people understand how big a deal coffee, especially specialty coffee, is across the Middle East and especially Saudi Arabia. It's huge.
It's huge, and it's a big deal, and so many girls here, women and guys who are interested in competing, and they are working hard to develop their skills, and they want to compete on world stage. So, but if we don't have the chance, we're not gonna have even the opportunity to train these people or coach these people, so they can represent Saudi Arabia.
I'm going to ask you a difficult question now. How do you feel about, and if you don't want to answer this, just don't answer it. You know what, I never want you to feel uncomfortable, but it is a difficult question. How do you feel about the approach from the American side of when SCA events have been pulled from the Middle East because they believe that human injustices are a good enough their idea of human injustice, or what they think is going on, is something that they believe will endanger their citizens if they hold events in the Middle East. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, for anyone who's listening, an event was organized to happen in Dubai, and there was an uproar from American members of the specialty coffee community, and the event was pulled from Dubai. Mm-hmm. Do you have any opinions that you want to share, or any thoughts about?
I don't know what are the details exactly, and the circumstances. So I don't think what I'm gonna say is valid, or maybe I need to know more about it, so I can tell you my opinion. Okay. But from what I'm seeing, for example, the participation of women in the coffee scene in Saudi Arabia, I'm number one to represent Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, you are.
From both, from men and women, females and males. So I was there on a world stage representing Saudi Arabia, and people here were very encouraging, and I didn't even heard a word of discouragement or someone shaming me for going for and representing my country. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what is the background of the way they approach it. So I really don't understand.
Let me frame it a different way. If world coffee events are held in the Middle East, in Dubai, in Saudi, in Egypt, in all the regions where coffee is popping big time, how does it help? What do you think the benefits are to the local specialty coffee community and the global specialty coffee community?
We will be able to have more people. What you sharik? I'm trying to find the word in English.
To sharik, to participate.
Yeah, more people to participate from abroad, and we could have people who join us to give us more of their expertise and their knowledge, and we can develop the skills we have here, and we can develop the coffee scene as well. Because of course, as much as we are growing, we still need experts' opinions. We need experts' help. So that's gonna broaden the horizon in Saudi Arabia, and it's also gonna take it to the next level. We need people from abroad, and people from abroad need us as well. Yeah, right?
100%. The exchange of ideas is important.
Yeah, we need to exchange ideas. We need to have a better communication with each other. So instead of just being here in a bubble in our coffee scene, we need to know people from abroad. We need to communicate with suppliers, coffee growers, and producers, and learn more about it. And we need to have the skill and develop the skill to communicate with these people. But if you just put us on the side, if not you personally, I mean,
well, I'm not at all. But if the industry, you're right, if the industry turns around and says, well, we don't like the way that the Middle East treat women, or we don't like the way the Middle East treats homosexuals, we don't like the way the Middle East treats trans people. So if those kinds of comments that are made quite ignorantly, let's be real, they're made without an understanding of what the actual thing is going on in the Middle East. It just goes off what they've heard is happening. But when you make decisions based on those kinds of sweeping statements, you remove the opportunity to improve diversity and improve growth and the exchange of information and ideas through diversity, right?
Yeah. And we are having, like, we are hosting here Horeca and in Dubai Gulf Food, and we are having other events. Why coffee is like something so difficult to happen? So,
Yep.
and we are having people from around the world as well in
Yep.
all of these events.
I mean, these expos happened in the last couple of weeks, didn't they?
Yeah, Gulf Food. Just
last week. Yeah.
Dubai.
Go COVID. I can't believe that still in the middle of a pandemic, they managed to hold a successful event, socially distanced, et cetera, and it still happened. Now let's see how much the COVID cases go up after that. Alhamdulillah. Amma min ghair shar. But it still happened. And my point is, we can't on one side be saying inclusivity this and inclusivity that, except for the Arabs. Mm-hmm. We can't be doing that. We can't be talking about, we've got to be inclusive in America, we've got to be inclusive in Australia, but we can't be inclusive as a global community. We really need to start thinking about how we can be inclusive as a global community. And
it's not only in Saudi Arabia, like we have a lot of people who are interested in Bahrain, in Oman, Kuwait, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon. Yeah, so a lot of people, they want to have the opportunity to showcase their skills and to show people what they have to offer. And this is also, it's not just about just espresso or manual brewing. There are people who can broaden the horizon of coffee, because we can add to it like competitions of Arabic coffee and Ibrik or I don't know what other methods are there. So like this will enrich the industry. It's not just, we should focus, coffee is not only about espresso and manual brewing or black coffee or filtered coffee. So it's
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the exciting part about it is you have an opportunity being offered. This is a new industry in the Middle East, or at the same time as being an ancient craft in the Middle East. So the ability to empower people who are excited to work hard, like just take Syria, for example. Syria has been ravaged with civil war. And you've got people that are super motivated to take the opportunities that are ahead of them and work really hard to make something happen. Now, these are people who are not going to be able to afford to buy big roasting machines and, spend upwards of $100,000 on all the equipment that they're going to need to be able to do this. But what they can do is they can take an ancient brewing technique and the way that they know how to roast coffee and use really beautiful specialty coffee from around the world. And these are some of the oldest civilizations in the world, like where the places that I went to in Syria, they're in the Bible. Jesus walked around the places that I visited in Syria. Like that blew my mind. There's like stories in the Old Testament where where the mountains opened up.
Yeah.
I was standing there looking at that. I was there. I was walking in amongst it. So to be able to cultivate a specialty coffee industry in a country that has yet again had to experience another devastating situation from outside with terrorists and with external governments, et cetera, to watch them rebuild and for specialty coffee to be a part of that, Man, how exciting. On the same land that Jesus walked around in.
Wow.
The first church, John the Baptist created the first church in Antioch when it was in Syria. There's just something so incredibly exciting for us as we launch this podcast to help encourage and cultivate and inspire that, and then to take our partners from different coffee producing regions around the world and have them be a part of that. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep again tonight. It's just so exciting to think about, right?
Wow.
And there's you know, there's the other side of it where it's really encouraging that we're women that are going to be inspiring these kinds of things across a region that has historically oppressed women. There's just something very exciting and poetic about that empowerment as well. So, lady, one, I'm incredibly proud of you for all the stuff that you're working on. And I'm number two, I'm very excited for all the people who are going to be inspired by your words. Because I think it's going to be something that, if we do this well, it's going to be something that empowers people to live their best life and to understand that doing that doesn't come easy. Not at all, as we both know.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people we're going to have to tell, listen, we're not saying don't open a cafe. We're just saying, wait, slow down and learn how to do it first. Have a plan. All right, Sara Alali, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the Map It Forward podcast. I'm very excited about seeing you launch your own version in Arabic of this. And we invite the world to come in and witness your journey. You can follow along on Instagram at Map It Forward Middle East. And on the Map It Forward website, mapitforward.org/Middle East. And you'll get all the information there. Podcast is going to be in podcast listening apps. It's going to be on YouTube. And where can people find you and that boutique cafe? Where can people find you?
On Instagram, and we have a Snapchat as well, and Twitter. We can have it all on
We'll put it all in the show notes. Brilliant. Sara Alali, thank you for coming on the podcast. And do me a favor, before I sign off with what I usually sign off, will you sign off with what you're going to be signing off on your podcast?
Yeah. أوكي، وفي نهاية حلقتنا أتمنى لكم يوم جميل سعيد وقهوة ممتعة.
Peace, love and peanut butter, everyone. Have an amazing rest of your day.